Hi there, this is Denny Smith, the Crayons Master. Welcome to the CBVA Hall of Fame. How did I start playing beach volleyball? Boy, that brings me back quite a while. Actually, I was working at the beach club down there at Santa Monica, and we would bring the members' sets out in the morning. We'd take them in at the afternoon. We have a lot of time to kill during the day. So we'd get a group of us together, about 4 or 5 of us, and kind of get a little circle and play that little laser ball game where you kind of take the ball and you aren't looking, now you do this way. And it was really a great thing because you really honed a skill that was just invaluable. Playing pepper, defense first, always be ready to dig. And didn't realize how valuable that was, until I got a little older. And went from there and started to play some ball down there at Playa del Rey. Down in that area down there, the Gillis, there was an old Westport Beach Club. Jim Arico, Tim Hovland, those kind of people played down there. And they started a tournament down there, the Gillis tournament. Been 43 straight years I've played in that one, kind of a wild event. It's on the CBVA schedule still. Just a great time. We kind of outgrew there and moved down to, well, I guess it was Marine Street where the ball got a little better. And ended up at Rosecrans, pretty much settling in for my home beach down there. Just the evolution of getting a little better, a little better, a little better at each beach. My biggest inspirations. Well, I came along at a time a lot of people didn't. When I started running tournaments, I was helping Gene Popko. At that time, there weren't that many tournament directors. You had these iconic people. Charlie Sakely, Mike Cook, George Stepanoff, Rod Cutting, Becky Carey. These are the people who were the professional, the people who really knew how to run a double elimination board and how to run the tournaments. Nobody else in the world was doing this. So I came in at a time when I learned from the people who were just seminal to our sport. And I was so fortunate to be able to learn from the absolute best. And I learned more than just put the ball out and run a tournament. I learned all the little things from them, and I'm so thankful for doing that. And then it went from there to settling in with Gene Popko, and I was running tournaments when they started to expand, and he started to have 3, 4, 5, 7 divisions. You'd have 120 team Bs. Well, Gene says, well, maybe I need a tournament director to run that. So I wasn't an official CBVA director at the time, but I was running tournaments for a long time. So just the fact that I was able to learn from really the best people really benefited me when I finally took over running the tournaments at Rosecrans. Your first rating, kind of like your first love. You remember that exactly, right down the block, right down here, Hermosa Pier, with the guy, what was his name? Tim Holland. The Hav and I got our Bs together playing down there. We beat George Negretti and Ernie Cote, I believe it was, but it just was one of the best things in your life. After literally my first year playing, never won a game. You lose your first game, you wait 3 hours, you lose your second game, and how to even stick with the sport. But it's just addictive. So it took me a year before I even won a tournament or won a game, and then slowly but surely got better. And when I played with Hav, just dragged me along and said, come on, hop on my back, and everything's your fault, and we should have won. But so it was just a great honor, and playing with Tim was just great. Toughest opponent. Well, I ran tournaments, and when you're running tournaments 6, 7, 8 weeks a year, and then you're playing, at the Sea Rod, and you're playing at the Gillis, then you got your local boys. There weren't that many weekends available that I really wanted to go out and play. So I dabbled a lot in the Bs and the As, and I only played in one open. And I played with a guy named Scott Brown who played volleyball at LMU. Just long, gangly guy with these sweet hands before a lot of the tall guys, had some great hands. I needed my set. The window was pretty small back then for me. That hasn't changed much, but so it was great. So played the Manhattan Open. We played Hooper and OB. They take one look at us and say, okay, we don't really need to do a whole lot. And so we're coming along. It's probably 13-0. And Scott gives me this set, and I give it the back knuckle. And here's OB kind of leaning this way and just fuming, livid, just from there, he just kind of, let's get these guys out of here. Just didn't embarrass him, but he just didn't expect that. And to get beat by a shot like that would never drop. So that was just a funny little thing that happened, but it was definitely the toughest team I'd ever played. I don't even think we scored a point against them. My favorite partner had to be a guy named Mike Whitteman. I called him the Brickhead. His red hair. We were just so compatible. He loved the left side, I loved the right side. Our game was great because they'd have to split up the serving. So we would, most of the time we were pretty even, but he was just a great guy to play with. He had the full game. He could play defense, he could jump, everything. But one of the great things was we were so compatible off the court, so it was about that whole lifestyle back then. It wasn't only about who you played with, but we just had a great time, when the tournament was over, and definitely a great guy to play with, and probably played more tournaments, CBVA events with Mike than anybody else. The favorite beach had to be, for me, Rosecrans, because I am from the Crans. But if you take that one away, I really enjoyed playing down there in Playa del Rey. That's where really I honed my game, playing against Mickey McFadden. She'd play against us and pretty much hammer us. Lee Woodard and some of those people. But it was back in the day when you're just figuring out the game and you're trying to figure out, what do I need to do to get better? And playing against people, everybody down there was better, which brought your game up. And it was just a nice little spot, tons of parking. Gene lived right there, and he had a pool table right there. So just a lot of great memories down there. But besides that, I've been playing at Rosecrans for over 30 years, so that's the first lows right there at the Crans.